All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back into another live edition of the Patriots Beat Podcast here on the CLNS Media Network, presented by our wonderful friends over at Prize Picks. It's Brian Hines back, as always, with Alex Barth. We got some OTAs still going on there down at Gillette Stadium. Unfortunately, we are locked out for the rest of the week, but we will wrap up a little OTA stuff from the 3 practices we saw. We have some injury updates, some other kind of newsworthy items to get to before, and then we will kick it over to you guys for a Q&A today. Maybe looking ahead to 3 minicamp practices next week. So anything you guys want, I already see some questions in the chat. That's awesome. Keep throwing those in there. Anything Patriots related, if you want to even throw some Red Sox just played a wild game. Who the hell knows what the Bruins are doing? But anything that is on your guys' mind, throw that in the chat and we'll get to it. But we will do some cleanup first before we get there. And we will start with that injury update. Jelani Tavai, who we talked about on Monday, went down during an 11-on-11 period in that practice. Away from the ball, too, so it looked pretty non-contact. Couldn't put a lot of weight on his leg as he left the field. Didn't look good. It's apparently a calf injury, so he's going to be sidelined at least until training camp. Adam Schefter had that one. So I guess fortunate based off kind of how it looked and the reaction from his teammates, but those calves, a lot of times guys can come back, you see in other sports, right? And then it can lead to an Achilles injury. So this could maybe linger. So they're going to give him some time off. Probably not going to be out there, obviously not going to be out there for minicamp next week. And then they'll have a month to 5-6 weeks till training camp. So Barth, how do you just reactions to that? And then if they are without Tavai, maybe going into training camp, how do you feel about their linebacker depth there if they are without him?
Yeah, he's on the bubble and getting back for camp. I don't think he's going to miss the roster because he's going to miss these 3 practices. But I saw a lot of people kind of be like, all right, well, he's out to training camp, so that's just 3 practices, and then he'll be back. Well, how much is it going to hamper his ability to work out on his own? Because guys are still putting in work, and they should be putting in work in those 6 weeks between the end of minicamp and the start of training camp. So is he going to have to, sometimes with things like this, guy opens on PUP for the first couple days just because he's got to get back in a football shape. And is that going to cost Tavai? He's basically got to be back for the start of pads. That's what's ideal for him. As for their linebacker depth, I don't think Tavai impacts it that much just because they've changed the prototype there so much. Like if Robert Spillane goes down, you're not plugging Jelani Tavai in. He can't, it's a different skill set. That's not his role. I think he's more competing for a situational role as like a run stopper on his own that you might get elsewhere from a practice squad elevation or something as he competes for one of those at-large roster spots. So I could they use another linebacker? Maybe. I don't know. I think between Spillane, Gibbons, Christian Ellis, and they're playing Marte Mapu at linebacker now, that should be okay. It's not the best linebacker room ever, but they're fine. I don't think the Tavai injury impacts that, though, because he's a different kind of player than those guys.
Yeah. But maybe he has been out there often in OTAs, next to Spillane on early downs, right? And then you get the Christian Ellis on later downs, more of that kind of what we were used to with Tavai when he's next to Juwan Bentley. So maybe if it is Spillane, he's a little smaller than Juwan Bentley. Do they want another kind of run stuffer, or could Jack Gibbons be that guy? We'll see how they kind of approach that. That's assuming Tavai misses more time than expected there. So if he is healthy and he is out there and say he's playing off Spillane, do you have maybe more confidence that he could not only make the team, but then go back to being more of a contributor, right? Because he took over, he wore the green dot at times last year. He was playing, without Bentley, and he kind of got exposed at times last year. If he is, Spillane's calling the defense, if Spillane's wearing the green dot, and then Tavai goes back to more of that secondary role where he's playing off Spillane, do you think that could help him kind of get back to the old versions of Tavai that we've seen, under Bill Belichick, where he was a more useful player at that second level?
It'd help. Look, when he was at his best, he was playing on the edge, which is a completely different conversation because they're not really going to have stand-up edge setting, guys in this. It's a four
down front now, yeah.
Right. So, off ball, can he be better? Yeah, he was asked to do too much last year. They were just asking him to do things that he aren't because they needed him to because they had nobody else who could do it. But he could be better. I don't know that he's going to get back to where he was when he was really making plays for them just because that role doesn't exist anymore. But if you're just asking him to come in early downs and run downhill, he can do that and he can be good at that. It's just you don't want to ask him to do more than that.
Yep. So that was the injury update. Again, Tavai, calf injury, expected to be out until at least the start of training camp. So we'll pigeonhole that one for late July there and see any updates when we get back to training camp. Just some of the other news. Will Campbell officially signed his rookie contract. So Travion Henderson and Craig Woodson are all that's left. And I believe that is it just from the last time we spoke on Monday. So we can kick it over to the chat. Again, anything that you guys have questions on, fire it in there. Bader's had one in here since 2:49. It's 5:07 currently we're recording. So he's had this one in for a while. So we will start with that question. Stephon Diggs playing week 1. Yes or no? He was out there Monday, looked very good for a guy 6-7 months removed from an ACL tear, not full go. He wasn't in the competitive team drills. But Barth, if you had to guess right now, June 4th, Stephon Diggs, is he out there week 1? Yes or no?
Yeah, he looks like he's on track. He does. And I mean, I'm not a doctor. I don't know exactly where his medicals are at, but a guy that's moving like that, you'd have to imagine, what is it? June, July, August, in 3 months, will be ready to play football. Like, I don't think that that's that outlandish of a thought. I did at one point, but I hadn't seen him moving like this.
Yeah. We've compared him, back on Monday to the Kendrick Bourne thing, where we didn't even see Kendrick Bourne do any of this in the spring and then not even late in August in training camp. And, I'm sure he was doing some of it behind the scenes, but the fact that he's out there, he's moving like he is, I thought that was pretty impressive. So not a doctor, don't know what's going on with an ACL tear, what an ACL tear would even look like if you showed me an x-ray or an MRI or whatever. But I think he looks pretty good. And I would bet that he is ready for week 1 based off what we've seen right now. But another Diggs question in the offense, pull it up here. In the offensive walkthrough, was Diggs playing in the slot or on the outside? He was mostly inside. So Barth, I'll ask you, do you like him inside, or do you think, maybe he should be playing more on the outside? Or how do you think his ideal fit in this offense would be?
At this point in his career, he's probably more of an inside guy. I'm still curious what Kyle Williams is going to look like as the X, and I'm not ruling out Diggs playing out there sometimes, entirely. But I think at this point in his career, he's probably a slot guy. He's working on craftiness at this point, and it's more of a chain mover than that explosive play threat.
Yeah. It feels like they like their X's and Kyle Williams and Kayshon Boutte, and then you assume Matt Collins will be in that role too when he's healthy and back. So I think Diggs is on the inside, and that's probably where he's going to stay. He should have some of that versatility inside and outside, but it looks like he's primarily going to be on the inside this year. And that was kind of how he was used in Houston, right? Like his average depth of target dropped. He wasn't that like explosive as down the field guy you saw in Buffalo a lot. He was a little bit more chain movie type of guy.
Right. Well, because they had Nico
Houston
Collins on the
year,
outside.
So that's what I would continue. Yeah. So that's what I would expect. But how is, a couple secondary questions, how is Isaiah Bolden looking? Why isn't he used as a returner more? I would love him to be used as a returner. He was going through kick return like 6-7 other guys the other day. So we'll see. They had no interest in doing that last year, even though he's been very successful in college in the return game. So maybe, but do you think he could push for one of those depth corner spots? Or we know he's even played a little nickel in the past. Like, do you think he could factor in to the secondary rotation at some point?
I think so. It seems like they're doing more of that. We saw Marcellus Dial getting some more run at corner as well, who was a guy that was, I think, special teams exclusive last year. So the kick return thing is the big one, though. Like, I want to see him returning kicks. We got a little bit of a look at him doing that. So it is more. He's not, I don't think, their primary kick returner right now, but he's in the mix.
Yeah. The fact that he was out there, I thought was encouraging because, again, like they didn't have, we even asked Springer a couple times and he had like no interest. It seemed like in putting him out there. So hopefully that could develop because he was very good. He was very good at it in college. But another secondary question, if Gonzo plays as well as or even better than last year, should he be the highest paid cornerback over Derek Stingley as soon as he becomes eligible for extension next offseason? Stingley signed a 3-year, $90 million extension, $89 million guaranteed. I wouldn't imagine why that wouldn't be the baseline, and just the way things work. If you're a year later, you're probably going to get a little bit more than that. So I would imagine he's the highest paid corner, unless I don't think someone else or Witherspoon was in the same class. So, but I think Gonzo would probably get more than Witherspoon and probably hit that mark as highest paid.
Yeah, because he plays on the boundary. Yeah, this is going to happen. Christian Gonzalez, if he can just continue on the trajectory he was on last year, will be the highest paid corner. Really should be by this time next year. I wouldn't let it linger in a camp with him. I would get the deal done as soon as you can get it done. Because the other thing is you want to get it done. Witherspoon might want more. And you want to get this deal done before Seattle pays Witherspoon, because it's going to cost more once Witherspoon gets paid.
Yep. That should be, if he has a year similar to last year, or as Ken says, like even better than last year, like that should be maybe priority number one in the offseason. Because go look at Cincinnati, go look at some of these other teams, Dallas with Dak Prescott. If you let these things linger, it's just going to get more expensive. So do it as soon as possible. It's going to look expensive, but then in the grand scheme of things, it's going to get cheaper and cheaper as more and more guys get paid. So if Gonzo plays to that level, there's no reason not to think he wouldn't. That should be at the top of their to-do list next offseason and get that done as soon as possible there. Another secondary question, his running mate, Carlton Davis. I'm trying to pull it up. Things are going a little slow. Is Carlton Davis missing OTAs, although it's voluntary, a big issue or nothing crazy? Do you care at all that Davis wasn't at the last 2 OTAs that we were at?
As long as he's not hurt, I'm not super worried about it. If he got hurt and we don't know, that's obviously concerning. That's a key player for their defense. But he's been in the league a long time, and it's a new system, but it's also it's going to be a lot of shot of that guy, right, week to week. So it's not going to be overly complex with him. So I'm not super worried about it. No.
Yeah. The first one he missed, it looked like he was on vacation, so it doesn't seem like an injury. So
that's true.
That was a good thing. Not sure why he missed Monday, but
if he was hurt and went on vacation, that's
that's one thing. But yeah, it seems like he was just on vacation, so not too concerned with that. Offensive question: do you guys think Josh McDaniels will run more bootleg plays for Drake May? I know he did for Kyle Orton back in 2009 with the Broncos. They upset the Pats that year with his crazy offense. What do you think? In favor, not in favor? Bootleg plays for Drake May?
I'm all for it. You move the pocket, which helps with the offensive line. It gives him more opportunities to use his legs, simplifies the reads. It's going to help with the run game, with the play action stuff. Again, we were talking about this on Catch 22 today. Yeah, I think they should do more of it. I don't know that it's something you want to major in, but especially if he's going to be under center more, which he probably will be with Josh, it's absolutely something you should take advantage of. Yep, I can't hear you.
That was my only counter. I don't love. I feel like I'm really laggy.
Is it you or me?
You got me?
I do now. Let me pull up the actual feed on here. This is what first show of the summer, computers overheating.
Out quick and jump back in.
You're jumping. Oh, it's going to go me full screen. Who's laggy here? Let's see. I'm watching.
I know. If I can even
oh,
get
it
it
is
to
you. It
log
is you.
out.
Look at that. The new Mike Cadlick with the bad Wi-Fi. All right. If Brian's going to jump and come back in, well, you do that, Brian. Are you still here? Oh, no, he's not. He's gone. All right. And I don't know what ads we have this week. I should pay attention to that, but I don't. Any other? I'll answer this one real quick. We'll wait for Brian to come back. If Diggs is playing the slot, who would you prefer to be playing at the X and Z? So who would I prefer? Let me tell you what I think they're going to do, because that's just easier and matters more. Anyway, I think it's going to be Kyle Williams at the X. I think it's going to be Diggs at the Z. Or I think Pop Douglas and Diggs are going to kind of interchange at the Z slot. I think there's going to be a lot of overlap there. It's going to depend on the situation and things like that. So that's how I have it. Kyle Williams at the X, and then Pop and Diggs is the other two at the Z in the slot. They can probably rotate in those spots.
You got me now?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Hopefully we'll probably overheat eating again in like 10 more minutes.
Might be a shorter episode today, guys. Sorry
that
about
works
that. You got any thoughts on this one here?
I think I'm already going out a little bit here, but
oh boy. Do I need to text Taylor?
If Diggs is playing in the slot,
I can hear you. It's really just the video. So if you don't mind, at Patriots CLNS, get the best screen grab you can of Brian Frozen and tweet it at us. But the audio's, you've really only dropped out audio wise once. Besides that, it's been fine. So people will make a game out of it for the people who are watching.
All right. If you can hear me, then we'll power through, I guess. If Diggs is playing the slot, yeah, based off what I heard you say, I like Kyle Williams at the X. Get that speed out there, and then Z probably pop in the Z too. So I like that. Or Efton Chism makes his push for the Z. But yeah, I like the pop, Kyle Williams, Stephon Diggs trio there.
So can I give you a quick Efton Chism take? And I think I'm not.
You still got me audio wise.
Oh, now it's delayed. All right. Well, I'm going to give you a quick Efton Chism take here. I'm high on Efton Chism. Maybe not as much as some people, because I just think that it's so early and we haven't even seen it in pads yet. But I need people to stop grouping Efton Chism and Pop Douglas together. They're not, it's like saying, yeah, they have receivers, guys like Pop Douglas and Efton Chism, to me is kind of like saying, yeah, they have running backs, guys like Sony Michel and James White, or guys like LeGarrette Blount and James White, since I know people have a negative connotation with Sony Michel. Like, yes, LeGarrette Blount and James White are both running backs. They don't play the position the same way. And just because Pop Douglas and Efton Chism are both 5'10", doesn't mean they play the game the same way. Efton Chism is much more short area quickness, crafty route running. He's a chain mover. He's not fast. He's not a guy that's going to break off big plays and things like that. Pop Douglas, the opposite. Like, Pop Douglas is not the most refined route runner, but he's able to get open because he just outruns guys. He's fast and quick and does all that. And he's much more of a vertical threat than Chism, who's much more of a horizontal threat. So I do not think those two guys are mutually, I don't think it's one or the other. You can have both of them. You can have both of them on the field at the same time. You don't want to do that all the time because you're just going to be really small, but you can absolutely live that way. If Chism's redundant, I don't think Pop's redundant, frankly, to anybody, because nobody in that room has the speed he does. He's got a different kind of speed than they have. The only other guy on the team that might have it, honestly, is Travion Henderson. That's it. Unless I'm forgetting somebody, but I don't think I am. That is like that kind of speed. Brian, correct me if you can even hear me. But if anybody's redundant with Chism, to me, it's Jalen Polk. Now, Polk's significantly bigger, but it's that same kind of, and this is going off of what we thought he was going to be coming out in the draft. In theory, if he turns it around, the kind of player he's going to be, if he does, which is an if, but all right, going to get to the chains, find space, sure hands.
I could hear you the whole time.
That sort of thing. Like, if Efton Chism's overlapping with anybody, it's Jalen Polk. And I think if Efton Chism's going to push somebody off the roster, it's Jalen Polk, not Pop Douglas, which probably makes it that much easier for Efton Chism to make the team. That was my Efton Chism rant. Oh, he's so delayed. Now I can't hear you at all. Go out, come back in. Who else? How has Marcus Bryant looked so far? He's huge. Just seeing him in person.
I agree.
The size stands out. You
agree
to what?
I don't even know.
How far behind are you? What do you
into nothing?
Yeah, I can hear you. What do you agree to? How far behind are you? You got to go out and come back in. This is probably a better show than anything we were going to do today. He's agreeing with Efton Chism. He's so far behind. All right, he's out and come back. It's hard to tell skill-wise just because they're not in pads and he's a lineman, but he is very large, and that is going to help him out. Is Efton Chism going to make the team? Right now, I have him on. People have asked me if he's a roster lock. I'm not remotely close to saying that yet, but he has a chance. He's doing everything he needs to right now to make the team. Okay, let's will we wait for Brian to come back, we are going to here, I think maybe. Oh, my email's all messed up. I forgot about this. All right, when Brian comes back, remind me to make sure to find out what ad reads we have. What else do we got for questions here? Oh boy. All right, I'll answer this one. I haven't gotten to talk about this yet on the air somehow. Any thoughts on a mid-round pick for Kyle Pitts? I am one of the few people that has not quit entirely on Kyle Pitts. I loved him coming out. Obviously, after his rookie year, he hasn't entirely lived up to that draft pick. I think some of that is outside of his control. The Falcons' usage of him at times has been mind-blowingly stupid. But clearly, like, he's not on that development path we thought he was going to be. I still think that there's some untapped potential there. I really do. That being said, I'm not giving up a top 100 pick for Kyle Pitts. You want to talk about day 3? Fine. I'm not giving up a top 100 pick for Kyle Pitts. Not at this stage. And I don't know what the Falcons are dealing from that. Talking to people, cover the Falcons, they seem to think that the team's not ready to quit on him either. All right, Brian, who do we have to hear from? Let's get an ad in real quick before you go out again.
Do you get me? You got me now?
I got you. Who do we have ads for this week?
It's something with StreamYard because my computer is fine, except when my camera is up right now, like everything starts to slow down. But we're doing prize picks.
Okay. You're going to have to read it.
Oh
boy, here we go.
I can already see myself starting to lag. Can you still hear me right now?
Yeah, here you go. Do the read.
Okay. There's only one series left in the playoffs, and the championship is officially on the line. That means time is running out for you to put your final takes to the test on Prize Picks, the best place to cash in on your favorite sports. This year's basketball playoffs are headed towards crowning a first-time champ in more than 50 years, so don't miss your last chance again to cash in on history with Prize Picks. Pick more or less on a player's stats like points, rebounds, assists, and more for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Think SGA will get more than 30 points or more than 7 assists, or you can go over to the ice in the hockey finals, and don't overthink it with Connor McDavid, more than 1.5 points. Brad Marchand, familiar face, also in that, more than 1.5 SOGs, shot on goals tonight as the finals kicks off. So Prize Picks, again, is the best way to win real money this championship season. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. All over on Prize Picks. Run your game. I hope we made it through that.
I was touch
probably
and go,
wouldn't know if we didn't.
There. Are we doing the other one too, or is that the only one for today? Oh boy. Brian, you still there? Great radio. All right. Well, Brian figures that out. What else do you got for questions here? Heard Craig Woodson's been looking good if we found our Devin McCourty replacement finally. Brian's texting me. That's probably not a good sign.
That's it. I think I'm delayed again, though.
You are very delayed if you're answering me about the ads. Very delayed. Why don't you back out and come back in? And we'll probably do like 2 or 3 more of these. We'll try to get through them. Or it'll just be a solo me show and Brian gets to take a half day. Heard Craig Woodson's been looking good if we found our Devin McCourty replacement. Yes to the first part, no to the second. Craig Woodson has been looking good. Very instinctive, regularly around the ball, good skills when the ball is in the air to make plays on the football. You like that from the safety position. But he's not a true free safety. He's a hybrid. He's going to play some deep. He's going to play some in the box. I think he's probably a guy they're going to use a lot to man up on tight ends. So they still don't have a deep safety. Now, Kyle Duggar hasn't really been out there in team drills. So this all comes with an asterisk of what's it really going to look like. We've seen a lot of Jalen Hawkins deep, who's back after re-signing last year. So Craig Woodson's looked good, but he's just not that deep safety they've been looking for, which is what kind of bugged me about that pick was they needed a safety. I just thought they maybe attacked the wrong skill set. What else do we have here? What else do we got? Would I trade a third for Kyle Pitts? No. No, starting with the fourth, and even then, that's probably a pick swap situation. I expect Pop and Hollins to be very involved. Might see Hollins at Z. Mac Hollins is an X. We haven't seen him yet, though. Really, he's been out there every day. And credit to him, he's been out there even though he's not practicing. He's not practicing. He's not in uniform. I would assume he's working back from something. What else do we have? You want to keep throwing questions? I'll keep us going for a couple more minutes without Brian here. But if he's done, we might wrap this up kind of short. Nobody wants to ask me about the new Madden news. Finally getting long snappers in the game. They're also going to make edge of position, so that's kind of a win-loss for me. Ton of new game plan stuff in there. I think, the way I look at it, and I talked to somebody down at EA, like, you got to – it's going to be a big benefit more than it's been in the past, actually know football. Like, I think the people who are gamers first – maybe aren't going to love some of the stuff. The people who are football fans first and gamers second, it sounds like this is for them, which was great. How are the fullbacks looking? This is another, I hate to be a broken record. It's just not, it's non-padded practices. It's a lot of throwing the football. So you're not really seeing them a ton in that traditional fullback role because there's not that much for them to do. Brock Lampy's been out there a little bit. We've seen him used as a traditional tight end as well. Jaheim Bell had a rough day the other day. He had some drops. So we've seen a little bit of them, but you still got to put a pin in it, I think, just because that's a position that you really need to see the pads on. Ribeye or T-bone? I think I'm going ribeye. What about you, Brian?
Ribeye.
Yeah, there you go. All right. He answered that right away.
We'll see how long this lasts, but...
Well, this might be the last one. Let's get some real ones in, and then maybe we'll get to some more jokey ones. How's Braden Swinson looked? How has Braden Swinson looked, Brian? What do you think? Let's see if we can get one in for you.
I feel like my camera's going in and out already. Do you have audio?
I have audio. Are you using an external camera, or is it your internal?
Okay.
No, there he goes.
No, I'm on the internal right now.
Okay.
You don't have me then?
No, I got you. What do you think of Braden Swinson?
He's been involved. It's been a good rotation with, Chase on. It's then Chase on and Swinson get involved. So I think, it's when the pads come on, we'll see more of him. But I've just been impressed with the involvement so far, I would say, for Braden Swinson.
I'd agree on that. Is Cole Strange the front runner for the left guard spot? Nobody is. There's no front runner. They're rotating in everybody. If I had a pick, it's probably Wes Schweitzer, but I don't feel confident saying that. Like, I think that thing is completely, totally wide open. And we're losing Brian again. He's got the Mike Cadlick internet, everybody. We got to do for him what we did for Mike. I'm now hearing myself on Brian's end. All right, I'm going to take a couple more. We'll wrap this up. I apologize for the short show, guys. Obviously, as you can tell, we're having some technical difficulties. Would I do a Madden franchise playthrough? This is something I'm trying to convince Evan to do. Evan said since Jason Tatum's out next fall, he needs a new hobby that's not watching the Celtics. Do you agree on what? I don't know how far behind you are, but tweet at Evan and tell him you want to see him play Madden. This is very important because he's not going to do it if there's not an audience. He told me this. So you got to let Evan know if this is what you want, that you want it. And we can get Brian involved too. We can roll Patriots Beat and all of it. Maybe we'll get Mike and Taylor and guest stuff, but like, it's very important you do that. All right. I think we got to wrap this up because Brian is agreeing on takes I had like 10 minutes ago. So, and there he goes. All right. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll be back next week. We will have, this was a shorter show. I apologize, but guess what? 3, assuming Brian's internet works, 3 full shows next week. Monday, OTA or minicamp recap. Tuesday, minicamp recap. Wednesday, we will either do a show after practice on Wednesday or we will do a full spring recap on Thursday. I'm not sure. Obviously, follow Patriots CLNS on Twitter. Subscribe to the YouTube channel here. You'll get caught up. So for Brian Hines, I'm Alex Barth. Until the next one, thanks for putting us up with us today, guys. And we'll talk to you next week. Bye.